You're at the music festival you've been waiting for forever. Your favorite artist is about to come on stage. You're carrying drinks back to your friends, feeling that crazy energy in the air, and then some random girl decides to completely ruin your night. But here's what I learned about karma that night: sometimes it comes in the form of a full beer can poured right over someone's head. If you've ever wanted to get back at someone who totally crossed the line, you're gonna love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe for more revenge stories. The sun was setting, the sky looked incredible, and I could feel that excitement building up in my chest. The opener had just started, and the crowd was already getting into it. You know that feeling? When everyone around you is just as pumped as you are. That collective energy that makes your heart race? That's exactly where I was. My friends had found a pretty good spot closer to the stage, and being the nice guy I am, I volunteered to go get drinks. 3 beers, I thought. Easy. Get the drinks, get back, enjoy the show. The bar line wasn't too crazy, and about 10 minutes later, I had our drinks. 1 cold beer can in my right hand, 2 plastic cups full of beer carefully balanced in my left. I felt like I was carrying gold, which, honestly, at festival prices, I basically was. As I started walking back through the crowd, I could feel the energy changing. The opener was finishing up, and I knew the main artist would be coming on any second. The crowd was getting restless and excited, and everyone was trying to push closer to the stage. This is where everything went wrong. Walking through a festival crowd with 3 drinks is like playing Tetris while riding a roller coaster. Every step has to be calculated. 1 wrong move and you're wearing your expensive beer instead of drinking it. I was halfway back to my friends when I felt it, that crowd surge. The main artist must have walked on stage because suddenly everyone around me was moving, pushing, trying to get the perfect spot. The cheering was insane, and the music hit like a wall of sound that you could feel in your chest. This was it. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. The energy was electric, and even though I was balancing 3 drinks, I couldn't help getting caught up in the excitement. And then it happened. In all the chaos of everyone moving and dancing, someone bumped into me. Not on purpose, just what happens when hundreds of people are all trying to move at once. I stumbled a bit, and some beer from one of the cups splashed over the edge. Most of it got on my own shirt, but a few drops hit the person next to me, this girl who looked maybe early 20s. She had the whole festival look going: crop top, high-waisted shorts, flower crown, all of it. Normally, this would be no big deal. A quick sorry over the music, maybe a laugh about festival chaos, and we'd both move on. But this girl had different plans. The second she felt those few drops of beer on her arm, her whole attitude changed. Her face twisted into this look of pure rage, like I'd just done the worst thing possible. She spun around to face me, and I could see her mouth moving, obviously saying something, but the music was so loud I couldn't hear anything. I did what any normal person would do. I mouthed sorry, as clearly as I could, gave her an apologetic shrug, and started to turn away to keep walking to my friends. I mean, what else could I do? It was an accident, I apologized, and I figured we could both get back to enjoying the show. But this girl wasn't having it. As I turned to walk away, she grabbed my wrist. Not a gentle tap to get my attention, a full grab. Before I could even figure out what was happening, she was wrestling the 2 plastic cups out of my left hand. For a second, I thought maybe she was trying to help somehow. Maybe she wanted to carry them? But then, in what felt like slow motion, I watched her flip those cups upside down and dump everything onto the ground. Beer went everywhere. All over my shoes, her shoes, and the people around us who had nothing to do with this crazy situation. The liquid spread across the muddy festival ground, and I just stood there in complete shock. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This wasn't an accident or a misunderstanding. This was deliberate destruction. She had just wasted 2 full beers. Beers that cost me $20, for no reason other than pure spite. But what really got to me wasn't the money or the waste. It was the look on her face while she did it. This satisfied, mean grin that told me everything I needed to know about her. She was enjoying this. She was getting actual pleasure from ruining my night over a few accidental drops of beer. The nerve was unbelievable. The entitlement was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Here I was, trying to enjoy a festival with my friends, and this stranger decided to start a war over the tiniest accident. I stared at her, trying to process what had just happened. The music was still pounding, the crowd was still moving around us, but it felt like we were in our own bubble of conflict. She was still wearing that smug look, like she'd just won something. And that's when something inside me snapped. I'm usually a pretty chill person. I don't look for fights. I believe in treating people with respect and handling problems like an adult. But standing there, looking at this girl's satisfied face after she'd just destroyed my stuff for no reason, something took over. I looked down at my right hand, where I was still holding that full, cold beer can. The condensation made it slippery, but my grip was solid. Time seemed to slow down as I thought about my options. I could walk away. I could be a bigger person. I could let her get away with her petty destruction and just call it festival weirdness. That would have been the mature thing to do. But you know what? Sometimes the mature thing isn't the right thing. Sometimes, when someone crosses the line, so obviously, so deliberately, the only right response is to give them exactly what they deserve. So I did what felt right. I popped the top of that beer can, looked straight into her shocked eyes, and slowly poured the entire thing over her head. The cold beer ran down her hair, over her face, soaking into her carefully chosen festival outfit. Her flower crown turned into a soggy, dripping mess. The makeup she'd probably spent forever on started running down her cheeks in streaks. The change was immediate and beautiful. That smug, entitled look melted away, replaced by pure shock and anger. Her mouth dropped open, and I could see her trying to process what had just happened. The tables had turned so completely, so perfectly, that it felt like the universe had planned this moment of justice. For about 3 seconds, we just stared at each other. Her, dripping and stunned. Me, holding an empty beer can and feeling satisfaction I'd never experienced before. It was like every frustration I'd ever had about entitled people, bullies, anyone who thought they could treat others badly without consequences, was finally being dealt with. But then reality came back. I could hear people around us starting to react. Voices saying things like, "What the hell was that?" and "Did you see what just happened?" The crowd was noticing, and I realized that from their view, all they'd seen was me dumping beer on some random girl's head. They hadn't seen her grab my drinks. They hadn't seen her deliberately destroy my stuff. They hadn't seen that vindictive grin on her face. From where they stood, I was just some guy who'd apparently lost it and decided to attack a stranger with a drink. The smart thing would have been to stay and explain what happened. To point out that she started this whole thing by destroying my drinks. To make sure everyone understood this was payback, not random violence. But in that moment, with adrenaline pumping through me and the weight of what I'd done hitting me, I made a different choice. I turned around and started walking back toward the bar, leaving behind a very wet, very angry girl and a crowd of confused people. As I walked away, I could hear chaos breaking out behind me. Her voice, no longer covered by the music, screaming in anger. Other people asking questions, trying to figure out what they'd just witnessed. The whole situation was turning into major festival drama. Part of me wanted to turn around and set the record straight. To make sure everyone knew she'd brought this on herself. But another part of me, the part that was still riding the high of perfect revenge, just kept walking. I had a job to do, get more drinks and get back to my friends. The show was still going on, and I wasn't about to let one entitled person ruin the night I'd been waiting for. The walk back to the bar felt weird. The music was still amazing, the crowd was still energetic, but I felt like I was moving through it all in a daze. What had just happened felt both completely justified and slightly unreal. I kept replaying everything in my head. The accidental spill. Her crazy reaction. The way she deliberately destroyed my drinks with that satisfied smirk. And then my response, cold, calculated, and absolutely perfect. By the time I got back to the bar, I'd processed enough to realize that I felt good. Really good. Not guilty, not ashamed, but genuinely satisfied in a way I'd never felt before. It was like I'd finally stood up to every bully, every entitled person, every individual who thought they could treat others badly without consequences. The bartender looked at me with confusion as I ordered 3 more beers. I must have looked a bit messed up, probably still had that wild look in my eyes that comes from experiencing pure justice. "Everything okay, man?" he asked as he handed me the drinks. "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. "Everything's perfect." The trip back to my friends went much smoother this time. Maybe because I was more careful, or maybe because I was giving off different energy. Either way, I made it back without problems. My friends immediately noticed something was different. "Dude, what took you so long?" one of them asked. "And why do you look like you just won the lottery?" I handed them their drinks and took a long, satisfying sip of my own beer. The music was incredible, the artist was killing it, and I was exactly where I wanted to be, with my friends, enjoying the show I'd been dreaming about for months. "Just had a little run-in with Festival Karma," I told them with a grin. "I'll tell you about it later." And I did. After the show, as we walked back to our car, I told them the whole story. My friends' reactions ranged from shock to admiration, to worry about what might happen next. "You actually poured a beer on her head?" one of them asked, not believing it. "She destroyed my drinks first," I reminded them. "I just returned the favor." "But what if someone filmed it? What if it goes viral?" I shrugged. "Then I guess the world will see what happens when you mess with someone's festival experience." Looking back on that night, I don't regret anything. Could I have handled it differently? Sure. Could I have been the bigger person and walked away? Absolutely. But sometimes, being the bigger person isn't about turning the other cheek, it's about showing someone that their actions have consequences. That girl learned an important lesson that night: don't start fights you can't finish. Don't destroy other people's stuff and expect to walk away without consequences. And definitely don't grin while you're doing it, because karma might be standing right next to you with a full beer can. The beautiful thing about what happened was how perfectly balanced it was. She destroyed my drinks, so I shared mine with her, right over her head. She wanted to turn a minor accident into a major fight, so I gave her exactly the kind of fight she was looking for. Was it petty? Maybe. Was it justified? Absolutely. Was it satisfying? Beyond words. Sometimes life gives you those perfect moments, where everything lines up, where justice gets served instantly and completely. That night at the festival was one of those moments for me. And every time I think about her shocked expression as that beer poured over her perfectly styled hair, I can't help but smile. Look, I'm not saying that pouring drinks on people is the solution to all problems. But sometimes, when someone crosses the line so obviously, so deliberately, the universe has a way of delivering exactly the justice they deserve. And sometimes, you get to be the delivery person. If this story gave you that sweet satisfaction of perfect karma, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying instant justice you've ever seen? And make sure to subscribe for more stories that'll make you believe in karma again. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.